Hey there, we're going to go over some of the basics of Cricut Design Space. For beginners or just as a refresher, this is something you can do before you even have a Cricut machine because Design Space is always available to you on the internet, or now they've got it so that you can actually download it and have it available on your device, so your Mac or your PC. So that's why you'll see that mine says for Mac, because I've already clicked the link design.cricut.com and it knows that I'm using a Mac, so it's showing for Mac. Okay. So again, design.cricut.com is how you can access Cricut Design Space for the first time. And you can also, let's just click this really fast, Cricut Access, because you will want to sign in and create an account with Cricut Access also, which you can also do for free. You do not need to pay for Cricut Access and all, unless of course there's things that you find later that you want to use. And I'll show you what I mean by that in just a second. So Cricut Design Space, design.cricut.com. You can either click open or download if you have not downloaded it previously. Once you've downloaded it, it becomes an app on your laptop or your computer. Okay, so right here is my Cricut Design Space, and I'm going to go ahead and click that. And let's just do a new project. Okay, so I was going to see if I could go, there we go, home. So when you first log in, this is what you're going to see. It's going to show you things that Cricut is currently working on or that they want to promote to you. In this case, it's home decor, 10% off their Cricut Access, summer machine sales, right? The Cricut Joy, the things that are new to Cricut. The next line down here is your projects, okay? It's all the things that you have uploaded or done or created an actual canvas for in the past. And then down, if you scroll down, you've got things that you can find in Cricut Access to use as projects or to create. Okay, and these are the ones that you would actually have to pay to access. You will find some things for free, but for the most part, the things that you're going to find that you want to create are most likely going to be paid. And I think it's still $9.99 a month for Cricut Access. So if there's projects that you see down here that you think you could get to and that you want to get to, then by all means pay for Cricut Access. But if not, you can still go through this whole process for free. Okay, so we're in Design Space. We're just using it for free. I'm going to click New Project. If I were here in the canvas and I had a bunch of stuff going on already, I could click New and start a whole new project. You'll notice I don't have grid lines on my canvas. You might. So up here in this 3-bar toggle or the hamburger menu, you're going to click on that and you're going to go down to settings, and then you have the option to change to full grid, partial grid, which is just the squares without the little smaller ticks or lines in the center, and then most likely at 1 inch increments, and then you can also choose no grid. If you're imperial, like US measurements, it's right here. If you want to switch to metric, you can click right there. Saving for offline, do you want it to download to your computer as well, or do you want it to only save in the cloud? All of your uploads and designs, once you've created a project in Cricut Design Space, are saved in the Cricut cloud, and then it's accessible to you from your device, any device that you sign into your Cricut Access with or Cricut Design Space with. So you can use an iPad or tablet, you can use your iPhone or Android, and you can use your laptop, and it will all sync into that cloud. So you can start a project on your phone and then move to your computer to finish it, or vice versa. Okay, so one account means that you can use multiple devices. You just sign into that one account on each device. Okay, so I'm going to leave my grid off just because we don't need it for this. We've already established that you can click this for a new project. Okay, templates are just so you can kind of get an idea of what your design looks like on whatever it is that you're trying to create. So if you're creating aprons and you want to see what it looks like, centered on an apron, you can click the template. This part does not cut out, it doesn't print, it's just there for you to get a visual. So if you're one of those people that need to see it in more of a concrete fashion, then you would want to use a template to see what it looks like. Or if you were using it like as a mock-up and you wanted to show somebody, hey, this is what it's going to look like on your t-shirt or your card, then you could use one of these templates. I think I've only ever touched a template once. They're not really something that I need visually, so I just don't use them. Projects are the things that are available in Cricut Access, and you'll see this green little A flag right here. That's saying you're going to have access to get to these projects, right? You're going to have access to access them. You can have a 30-day trial and try out things in here and then just not renew it, or if you really like it, keep it. I've had it and then I find that I get busy and I don't use it, so I don't currently have one right now. There are some really cute things in here to work on, but these are projects that they come with a cut file and then they have directions to do it. So let's see if there's any. I think we can search by free. Yeah. So these ones are free. Let's pretend we want to make about this party bow gift wrap. So when you click on the project, it's going to tell you that it takes 30 minutes to an hour. It's an easy project. Okay, you're going to be making your gift wrapping a little extra special with this party bow. It's designed for the Cricut Maker. This project uses the wavy blade to create a bow. So if you have the Explorer or the Joy or anything else, you won't be able to make this project because you're going to need to use the wavy blade, and it's going to specify that when the file is being cut. Okay. The materials that you're going to need, everything else that you should be using, how to prepare for it, and then the directions to actually make it as you go. These are the images and fonts used in the project. So there's going to be a square and a line, and this line's probably going to say that it's wavy when it cuts, and you can go ahead and click make it and it'll send it right to your machine, or you can customize it if you want to change the size. So let's just pretend we're going to make this. So see, it's just basically taking that square, and then these lines are going to cut with the wave blade, and you can see all that over here in your layers. Okay, it's telling you that you've got this square shape and then all these lines that have been placed inside of it, basically. So here's the square, and then each of these lines is an individual thing over here. So if you watch the screen over here, when I turn off this eyeball, notice that this line right here disappears or comes back. Okay, so each of these layers or each of these lines is on its own layer, and I can see that over here on my right hand side. Okay, so we're not going to make this right now, so we're just going to replace with a new project, or a new, this is your canvas, right? So I'm replacing with a new blank canvas ready to start a new project. Images is where you will find loads and loads of cut files. Okay, it's also Cricut Access, but you can also search these ones for free ones. So let's just say we want, I don't know, a heart. Okay, so you'll notice right here it says free underneath. These are all cut files that you could use for free. You don't have to pay for. This one here you would have to purchase. This one, and then, or I have purchased this one, and then these ones are 99 cents each. Okay, if you have Cricut Access, then these would all be free also. Like they'd be part of that membership, that $9.99 that you're spending a month. Okay, so free ones, you can just click on it and then you can insert the image into your canvas. And let's say you wanted to use this heart, and then you're going to add some text to it. So we can go ahead and do that. Let's talk about some of the tools that are on this heart right now as we're looking at it though. So this heart is teal, and you'll notice that the color up here is teal, and it's telling you that it's going to cut these lines. Okay, if you wanted to change the color to red, you could. This really doesn't matter. This is just for your own visual reference. Whatever color you put on your Cricut mat with vinyl or paper is going to be the color that it's cut out of, obviously. But this helps you organize your mats, and I'll show you what I mean by that in just a second. Let's go back to the teal, just because I like that teal. So I'm using this undo button up here to undo any changes that I just made. I can click off of the heart and it's not selected. I can click on the heart, and then I've got these options in this bounding box. Okay, I can also select it over here. There's multiple ways to do multiple things in Design Space. You just figure out what you're most comfortable with or what's going to work for the project that you're on, and go from there. And this is all stuff that you just kind of get more comfortable with and learn over time. So I've selected this heart. I can delete it by clicking this red X, which is why it's red and an X, right? I'm going to undo that. I can also use a keystroke to undo that. So let's X out again. If I Command Z or Control Z, which is undo for any other program, my heart comes back, okay? I can also hit this trash can and delete it. I can duplicate it. You'll notice that these two are grayed out right now, and that's because those are not options right now, okay? There's nothing that I can do with those. There's nothing to group this heart with. There's nothing to ungroup that heart from. So these are grayed out because it's a tool that just won't work right now. And that's the same for these things down here. So I'm going to duplicate this, which means make a copy of it. And you can also do Command C, Command V to do the same thing. So keystrokes are faster, and if you're comfortable with keystrokes, use them. Okay, so now I have two objects, and if I slide across both of these objects, so I clicked out here in the corner of my canvas, I'm holding, and then I drag, it's going to select these two hearts. Now I could group them, and whatever I do to one, the other's going to follow. Okay, if I decide I don't like that, I can ungroup them, and then we're back to just individuals. I could also, instead of clicking and dragging to select, I could click over here and then hold the shift key and click the second layer, and it would select both of these, okay? And then I could do the same thing with group. I only need one of these right now, so I'm going to go ahead and delete this one. And I just hit the delete key for that. So there's three ways to get rid of an object on your canvas, okay? I can use this X, I can use the trash can once it's highlighted, and I can also just hit the delete key on my keyboard, okay? So that's gone. Now let's highlight this again. This it's like the refresh symbol, but it really means rotate, okay? When you rotate an image, I can turn this image upside down, and as soon as I go to make it, it is actually keeping it where I want it, which is nice. Sometimes Cricut Design Space will actually rotate things on the canvas for you and then stick them up in this top right or top left corner because it wants to save you materials. So it scrunches everything up into this far corner to make it more compact so that you cut less vinyl or less paper or whatever. Okay, so I just cancel. So I got to that by clicking make it. And this would be the view that I would look at right before I was ready to start cutting. I'm going to cancel this. So I want to go out of this view, and it just takes me right back to my canvas where I was working. Okay. And I'm going to undo my rotate so we can put it back. This is to resize my heart. Okay. I can make it bigger or smaller. And I just drag this, I just click and drag on this corner. You can also resize it up here. Like if you have specific dimensions that you want, like say 3.5 inches, I can type it in there and then hit enter. And you'll notice it resizes for me. It is currently locked, which means its proportions are going to stay that way no matter what I do to it. Okay, so I could change the height to 5 inches and the width will adjust. Okay, if I wanted to be able to make it a narrower heart, I would unclick this lock. Okay, and you'll notice down here on my bounding box that this little lock right here unlocked. So there's the two ways to do that also, lock or unlock. Okay, as soon as I unlock it, see how this one changed to green? That means it's not going to keep its proportion as I drag now. I can squish it narrower. I can make it shorter. Okay, it's not holding its proportion. If I were to change the height to 5 inches, this 6.506 right here in size for width stays. Okay, I'd have to manually change this one now if I wanted to change the size of this heart to be a certain dimension. Proportion is something you want to keep on if it's an image that you don't want to have a skewed look, or if it's like text and things like that. Every now and then you can kind of squish your text to make it a little bit more narrow, but you're going to start to give things like that skewed / walleye look that visually isn't very appealing. So you got to be really careful with changing your proportions. The only time I would that I usually unlock something is if I'm working on like a rectangle and I'm going to make it into a card, okay? Because when you click on this square shape here, it only comes in as a square, and if I want it to be a rectangle, I have to unlock it. We'll discuss that in a second. Okay, so this heart, I'm going to undo a few times here. Actually, it doesn't really matter because we're not going to use it much longer. And it's back to being locked. Okay. So that is a shape from the images, and there are loads and loads and loads of images. So you can search by type, you can search by layers, you can search by who made it, you can search with a key term up here. I put in the word heart and I got 6,000 returns. So there's a lot of stuff out there in the images to keep you busy. I'm going to delete this because I don't think we need to do anything else with it. And oh yes, we do. Let's go. We're going to add some text. So on our left key or toolbar here, the next option is text. Okay, and if I'm going to just do this really quick and basic. If you want to know more about text, there's a video on the channel for that, and how to use fonts that you find on the internet and download to your device, as well as ones that are already available by Cricut, and just how to change those and mess with them. Okay, so let's just put the word love in here. So my text box is here, and you can't drag that somewhere else to type at first. You just start typing, and then it'll make the cut image, and then from there you can drag that where you want it. If you want to re-edit that text, you just double click in it, and it'll give you your text box back so that you can keep typing or keep editing or whatever it is you need to do. Say you misspelled it and you got to come back and respell it. You double click on it and then you can type in it again. Or if you want to change the font, I think, yeah, you can change it without having to double click in it. So these are just fonts that are in Cricut or Cricut. Right now it's all, so it's the system fonts, which are my laptop fonts, and then the Cricut's fonts as well. And I'm just going to scroll really quick and just find something that looks, I don't want to look at Cricut's fonts and have to pay for something. So let's go with this script. There we go. So now I have the word love and I have the heart, and let's say I'm happy with this design and that's how I want it to go out on my mat to be cut on my t-shirt. Obviously I'm not, I would be doing other things with it, but we're just going to pretend. So I'm going to click make it, and you're going to notice that it separates the two out by the colors of their design. Okay, so the love was typed in black, so it's going to be cut on this canvas in this order, right? And then it's going to require a second mat with my second color, which is teal. Okay, so now I'm going to cancel this, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to change this to teal. So if I click on my colors up here, it's going to pull the colors from this canvas and list them right here for me. If I had any other colors, they would be listed here too, so that I can mimic them and make them the same. So now my love is going to cut in teal, and I'm going to click make it, and you'll see that it put the two on the canvas together, but notice how it moved the love up to the top. It's like squishing it into this top left corner because it's trying to save my material and save me time and not like be eating into this piece of vinyl that I've put on the canvas or on the mat. If I want them to stay where they're at next to each other, I'm going to highlight everything, and then I'm going to click this attach button right here. And what that does is it tells Cricut, keep these in relationship to each other, so that I want that L centered in the middle of my heart or whatever it is that you've done to your design. That's how you get them to stay there. Okay, so I'm going to cancel that. You'll notice over here we've got this color sync, and this panel is basically so that if you had 10 colors in this canvas, let's say, here, let's go back over here and detach this, and then we're going to ungroup this, and let's just make a mess out of this. So red, green, yellow, orange. Okay, so now we have a ton of colors, and what's going to happen when we click make it is that they're going to all be divided out into their own mats based on their color. Okay, because Cricut thinks I want all these colors, but really I just want one or two colors. But because of the way the design is, it's going to cut every single one of these things in a different color, so I'm going to have to load different mats to do that. So if I go over here to color sync, I can tell it to change the color of this. And how, I don't know. I think it's just showing me that those are the color options that I have. To change colors, drag and drop an object onto the layer of your desired color. Oh, that's not working. Let's try this. Yep, not sure how that's supposed to work. Drag and drop an object onto the layer of your desired color. Nope. Okay, so the easier way to do that, since that doesn't seem to work very well, I'm gonna have to play with that, is click up here and now see when we talked about before we had just teal here. Now all the colors of this canvas that were listed there in the color sync are actually listed here in this colors bar as well. So what we're gonna do is just go up here and select, let's just make the whole word red this time. So we'll select the O and change it red. And it's changing it over here, but I don't understand the drag part. Red, and then red. So now you'll see that it's showing us that love is all going to be cut on one canvas. The heart and then our ellipses are going to be cut on us on this teal canvas. Okay. So there's that. Okay. So I think we're done with this. Let's go play with some shapes and some cut lines. So shapes, they're pretty self-explanatory. They're telling you exactly what they are based on their shape. Really handy when you're trying to make your own designs and you want to design a cut file on your own or from scratch. Okay, I use the square a ton. Basically, you just click on the shape and it'll add it to your canvas, and it does that all in the same color. It always just adds it in this kind of charcoaly gray black, and then you can come up here and change the color to fit your design needs or to make it more visible on your screen, however it is you want to do that. Let's say I'm not going to use these right now, so I'm just going to select the two and delete them, that one too. I want this square, but I want to turn it into a rectangle, and I'm going to cut and fold a card with it. Okay, so width-wise, I need it to be 9 inches because I want to be able to fold it in half and make it a 4x5. If I do this while this is the ratio or proportion is locked and I hit enter, it's going to make me a 9x9 square. So I need to unlock this, and then I can change this one to 5 or 5.5 depending on how tall I want it to be. Okay, so now I have a rectangle, and I'm going to lock this so that my proportions stay, but I'm not going to mess with this anymore. I have a rectangle that when I fold it will be a 4x5, 4.5 by 5 by 0.5 card. Okay, and now I'm going to tell my machine that I want it to score a line right here, dead center, to make, so I can fold it really easily into a card. I mean, I could do this all by hand with a cutter, but let's just do it with the Cricut because it's more fun. So I'm going to click on this score line, and it's going to add a line out here for me. And I'm just going to relatively drag it and drop it where I think it needs to be, and then pull the length out. This one, you don't have to undo your proportions to drag, or it's one of those ones that you just leave, and you just drag it to the length you want. If it goes past your card a little bit, that's okay. Or if I wanted to be super precise with it, I know that this is 5.5 long, so I could just type it in there and hit enter, and it would do that for me. Okay. Okay, so now this is done and ready to go, but I don't know if I'm centered or not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click out here and select across the two objects, or I can click over here on my layers and hold my shift key and select both. And up here on my toolbar, you're going to see this align. I'm going to click the little down arrow so I have more options, and I want to center this horizontally. So these little pictures show you what that means, right? So center horizontally. See how it scooched that over, and now it's perfectly in line with this this plus sign. It's basically a target symbol or the center of that thing, right? And you'll notice that this bounding box is kind of coming a little low on my rectangle, and that's because this isn't perfectly aligned vertically either. So what I'm going to do is center vertically, and it bumps the two of them together. So now they are perfectly aligned in the center. And then I'm going to attach them, because if I just click make it right now, it's going to put my score line on one canvas and my card cutout on another, which doesn't do me any good. So I'm going to cancel that, come out here and click and drag, and then I'm going to attach so that this score line stays on this rectangle that I made. I'm going to detach for just 1 second and show you one other thing. If I click on this line, notice up here where my line type changed. If I click on the rectangle, it's telling me that it's going to cut it out and that my fill color, or that this shape, is orange. I don't currently have a fill color, or there is no fill for it, okay? I'm not printing anything. I don't need this to be orange. It's just visually there while I'm messing around with my design. I can change this to anything. I can change it. I can have it score out this whole card instead, or I can have it engrave, deboss. This is where you get to choose the different things that that line turns into based on the machine you have and the blades that you have. And if you're curious about different machines and blades, check out the blog, because there's different posts on that, and there will be videos coming as well. So right now we're cutting this outline, and it changed my color. And then if we click on the score line, I could change that to a cut, and it would just cut this in half, right? Or I could engrave it, turn it into a wave. I could perforate it if I wanted it to be like a raffle ticket tear or something. But right now I just want it to score. So that's where you change the directions that you give the machine for the line that's on your canvas and in your design, okay? And then we attach those so that they go to the machine together. So now let's go look at Make It. One matte, one color. Here's my rectangle for my card, and now it's going to score this line. And when I actually go to make this project, the machine will tell me, can you please put your scoring blade in, or can you please put your debossing blade in, or whatever it is that the machine needs to follow these directions. It'll prompt you on the screen to do. Okay, so that's our shapes. And then the last but not least is the one that you'll probably end up using the most, and that's this upload. And what this does is it lets you use other designs that you found out on websites. Like if you, wrong one, right here. So if you had, if you'd gone to Lemony Fizz shop and you had downloaded one of these SVGs, right, it would be on your computer in a zip file, ready to go. And then you could upload it into your Cricut Design Space to use. So I'm going to take this USA one right here that I've got in the shop, and I'm going to show you how to upload that. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my Cricut Design Space, and I'm going to click Upload an Image. And what it's going to do is it's going to tell me to browse or drag and drop the file here. So I can click Browse and then go to wherever it's located at. Okay, and currently it's in these project files. But the problem with that is it's zipped. See how it's still compressed right here? And I can't open a zipped file in Cricut Design Space. It's going to tell me there's an issue. So I'm going to cancel this browse for just a second, and I'm going to go to my Finder, and here's that same file, USA Firework Zip, and I'm going to double click it. Yeah. That's just the way I always do it, so it's the only way I know how to do it. If you're on a PC, you would right click, and then you should have the phrase extract in your menu. On a Mac, you're just going to double click it, and it's going to extract that file for you, and it's going to turn into this blue folder, which means it's not compressed or zipped anymore. I'm going to delete this one because it doesn't need to stay on my, where's my move to trash? My brain's not working today. So it doesn't need to stay on my desktop or on my laptop anymore. So here's the design, okay, and it's either in PNG format or SVG. Sometimes you'll see, and then JPG, JPEG, right? So you've got these three file options, and Cricut will tell you can upload PNG, JPG, a GIF, GIF, however you want to say it, SVG, DXF, or BMP. Notice you don't see PDF there. So you cannot upload PDFs. It'll just tell you Cricut or file not supported or something like that. So now I can browse and go back to my projects. Oops, where am I? and project files, and this USA firework is right there ready to go. Okay, and I can choose the one I want, or I can drag it out of this my Finder and into this space right here. So it works both ways. Okay, I can click and open, or I can grab it out of this Finder and then drag and drop into the space. See how it turns green to show me that it's ready to be dropped in that area, and then that's what's going to upload it into Cricut Design Space. Okay, so SVG is always your preferred way just because it already knows where the cut lines are and the different layers and things like that. But if you had to, you could bring in a PNG, and there's actually a blog post on how to upload different images that are not SVG and make them work for your projects in Design Space. Okay, so in this case, I'm just going to tag this just so I know later what it is if I was searching for it. Okay. And I'm just going to leave it USA Firework because that works for me. And then I'm going to click Save. And now it's going to be part of my projects or my recently uploaded images here. Okay, so it shows you the things that I've uploaded most recently. It doesn't take you into your canvas right away. It just puts you here because maybe you wanted to upload more than one thing for your project. So it's going to keep you here until you decide that you're ready to actually insert those images onto your canvas. So I'm going to select it, and I select it by clicking on it. See, I can select multiple things and how they have this green bounding box. Now I'm going to unselect these ones because I don't actually want them. I just want this USA. And then I'm going to insert images down here in this right corner. And it brings it in for me. It's all grouped together, ready to go. It's going to cut blue stars, yellow stars, right? It's going to cut everything I need. There shouldn't be much prep to do since this is an SVG. Really, the only thing I need to do is resize it. Maybe I only want it to be 6.5 inches across. Okay. And then, or if I wanted to take a few of those stars out because I didn't want them, I could ungroup over here and then start removing stars. And you'll be able to see the ones that actually, that you have selected by just clicking here, or you can click out here in the middle of these and it'll take you to that layer, and then you can determine if you want to delete it or not. Okay, so there's that file. I don't think there's much we need to do for prepping it. I would just click make it and send it. It's going to be three different canvases because of my colors. Let's just click and see if it keeps them all. Yeah, that's what I thought. So see how it's pushing all of these white stars and up into this left corner, and same with the red. You don't want to have to piece this thing back together, right? You want it, if it's an iron-on or something for a t-shirt, you want to be able to have them all like stay proportionate and in their relative spot to each other. So you probably have to go through, I wonder, it would be nice if you could just select based on color, but you're not going to be able to do that. So just go through and select all your red. So I'm holding the shift key and I'm just going to go down through all my reds. This is just part of preparing a file to cut. Sometimes you're going to have to do a little bit of Design Space work before it's actually ready to send to your machine. So I'm selecting everything that's red and I'm going to attach it so that it all stays together, and then I'm going to do the same thing for, and you'll notice it pulled it all up here into this one attach. So now I shouldn't see anything red down through here, which is going to make it easier by the time I get to my second and third color. So here's the yellows. And I'm going to attach those. And then, and don't worry if it changes the look of your design over here, it's still gonna, it's basically just like moving those to the forefront each time that we do this, because now these layers are up above the others. It's not gonna change the way that your actual design looks when you put it on your shirt. Like, that'll be up to you and how you layer it anyway. I missed a yellow there. Let's just go through the rest of these blues and attach, and now the whites. And then I can just re-grab this yellow and click on the yellow, attach up here, and attach that. Okay, so now let's make it much, much better. See how our stars are kind of spread out now? What that means is when you go to like when you cut it out of the heat transfer vinyl, it's going to be positioned and ready to go. Like you can layer it better as you place it on your shirt and iron it on. Okay, same with this. Like all of these little swooshes and swirls are in relationship and placed based on the original design and in accordance with this A and then the S and the yellows and the U and the blues. Okay, so once you layer that on your shirt, it's all going to come together as a design. You're just going to have to figure out which one you want to lay down first, second, and third. Okay. It's like puzzles. You end up putting puzzles together a lot when you're playing with your Cricut and little pieces of vinyl or paper. Okay, so that looks like it's everything that you would need just to get started with the bare bones basics on your design space. One thing I didn't use is this zoom over here, and occasionally you might need to get like a little closer to your design so you can see some like little pieces or parts, and so you can click the zoom button to like move in closer on your design, and then I just drag just the blue, and then adjust your canvas by like scrolling left or right or up or down so that you can see what you're doing in there, and then it's easier to click on something. And then to zoom out, you just use that minus button and go back to your regular percentage. Or if it's too big on your canvas, then you could zoom out so that it fit your canvas, and then you could grab toggles and stuff to resize. Okay, so if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, thumbs up, hit the bell for notifications, and I will see you in the next video.